Welcome back, and thank you for joining us once again. I'm your host, Harshit Simha, and after a week-long pause, we return with a conversation that could not be more timely or relevant. Today's discussion focuses on one of the most pressing and transformative topics in the sustainability landscape, integrating actionable United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, within corporate environmental, social, and governance, ESG, frameworks. As organizations across the globe face increasing expectations from investors, regulators, customers, and communities, ESG can no longer remain a compliance-driven or reporting-only exercise. Instead, it must evolve into a strategic framework that delivers measurable impact while creating long-term value for all stakeholders. The SDGs provide a globally recognized blueprint for addressing critical challenges, from climate action and social equity to ethical governance and inclusive growth. However, the real challenge lies in translating these global goals into practical, measurable, and scalable corporate actions. In today's session, we will explore a comprehensive framework that aligns ESG practices with the SDGs in a way that is both actionable and outcomes-driven. We'll examine how companies can move beyond ambition to implementation, embed sustainability into core business strategy, and drive meaningful global impact while strengthening resilience, trust, and long-term value creation. Let us explore this topic until Slide 2. Why ESG alone is not enough. Environmental, social, and governance (ESG) frameworks have become central to corporate sustainability and risk management, helping investors and companies assess non-financial performance related to climate risk, labor practices, ethics, and governance. However, ESG on its own is increasingly seen as insufficient to address today's complex, interconnected global challenges. First, ESG is largely designed as a corporate risk and value protection tool. It focuses on how environmental and social issues affect a company's financial performance, rather than how corporate activities affect society and planetary boundaries at scale. As a result, systemic challenges such as climate tipping points, biodiversity loss, widening inequality, and poverty often fall outside the scope of firm-level ESG metrics. Second, ESG reporting suffers from fragmentation and inconsistency. Multiple standards, varying methodologies, and limited outcome-based indicators can encourage box-ticking, selective disclosure, and even greenwashing, rather than measurable real-world impact. Finally, ESG lacks a development and impact orientation. Global priorities such as the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, require coordinated action across governments, markets, and communities, something ESG frameworks were not designed to deliver on their own. Therefore, ESG must be complemented by SDG alignment, science-based targets, impact measurement, and public policy frameworks to move from risk management to genuine, scalable sustainable development. Slide 3. ESG and SDGs, two sides of the same sustainability coin. The powerful synergy between ESG and SDGs is the convergence of ESG and SDG frameworks represents far more than a semantic alignment of sustainability terminology. It embodies a fundamental shift in how businesses understand their role in society, moving from isolated corporate responsibility initiatives to integrated strategies that address global challenges whilst strengthening competitive advantage. This chapter explores the multifaceted benefits that emerge when companies deliberately bridge these complementary approaches. Environmental, social, and governance (ESG) frameworks and the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) represent two complementary approaches to sustainability, addressing the same challenges from different but interlinked perspectives. ESG focuses on how sustainability issues affect corporate performance, risk management, and long-term value creation, primarily for investors and businesses. In contrast, the SDGs provide a global development blueprint, defining what sustainable outcomes the world must achieve by 2030 across economic, social, and environmental dimensions. When applied together, ESG and SDGs create a more holistic sustainability architecture. ESG translates broad SDG ambitions into company-level strategies, metrics, and disclosures, while the SDGs give ESG efforts a clear societal purpose and direction. Aligning ESG practices with SDG targets enables companies to move beyond compliance and reputation management toward measurable, real-world impact. Thus, ESG drives the how of responsible business, while the SDGs define the why and what of sustainable development. Slide 4. Shared values and complementary focus. ESG frameworks and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, are anchored in shared sustainability values, while addressing them at different but complementary levels. Environmental protection is central to both approaches. ESG emphasizes climate risk management, resource efficiency, and environmental compliance at the firm level, whereas the SDGs frame these issues as global imperatives, such as climate action, biodiversity conservation, and ecosystem restoration, required to safeguard long-term planetary stability. Collaborative action is another common pillar. ESG increasingly recognizes that systemic risks like climate change, water stress, and supply chain vulnerabilities cannot be addressed by individual companies alone. Similarly, the SDGs explicitly call for partnerships among businesses, governments, financial institutions, and civil society, reinforcing collective responsibility for shared challenges. In terms of social justice, both frameworks prioritize human rights, labor standards, diversity, inclusion, and community development. ESG operationalizes these through policies, disclosures, and performance indicators, while the SDGs define equitable development outcomes such as poverty reduction, decent work, and reduced inequalities. Finally, governance excellence underpins credibility and accountability in both systems. ESG focuses on ethical conduct, transparency, and board oversight, while the SDGs emphasize strong institutions, rule of law, and accountable decision-making. Together, ESG provides the operational discipline, and the SDGs provide the strategic vision, creating a coherent pathway for sustainable and inclusive growth. Slide 5. Business benefits of ESG-SDG integration. Integrating environmental, social, and governance (ESG) practices with the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) delivers tangible strategic benefits for businesses by aligning corporate performance with global development priorities. First, enhanced corporate reputation emerges as organizations demonstrate credible commitment to sustainability outcomes rather than symbolic disclosures. Linking ESG metrics to SDG targets improves transparency, strengthens stakeholder trust, and reinforces brand legitimacy among investors, customers, regulators, and communities. Second, improved risk mitigation is a critical advantage. SDG alignment helps companies identify long-term systemic risks, such as climate transition risks, supply chain disruptions, social inequality, and regulatory tightening, that may not be fully captured through traditional ESG risk lenses alone. This strengthens resilience and supports proactive compliance with evolving sustainability regulations. Third, ESG-SDG integration enhances access to capital. Investors and lenders increasingly allocate capital toward companies with clear SDG-linked ESG strategies, viewing them as better positioned for long-term value creation. This alignment facilitates access to sustainable finance instruments such as green bonds, sustainability-linked loans, and impact funds. Finally, integration acts as an innovation catalyst. SDGs provide a structured framework for developing new products, services, and business models that address unmet social and environmental needs, driving competitive differentiation and growth. Slide 6. Risk mitigation through SDG alignment. Aligning corporate strategies with the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, is an increasingly effective mechanism for mitigating long-term business risks that extend beyond traditional financial and operational boundaries. Regulatory foresight is a key benefit. SDG alignment helps companies anticipate tightening regulations on climate disclosure, emissions, human rights, and due diligence, enabling proactive compliance rather than reactive adjustment. This reduces regulatory uncertainty and compliance costs over time. Supply chain resilience is another critical advantage. Many SDGs directly address risks embedded in global value chains, including resource scarcity, labor rights violations, environmental degradation, and community conflict. By aligning sourcing and procurement practices with SDG targets, companies can identify vulnerabilities early, diversify suppliers, and strengthen continuity in the face of climate and social disruptions. SDG alignment also supports market adaptation. As sustainability increasingly shapes consumer preferences and competitive dynamics, SDG-informed strategies help businesses adapt products, services, and business models to emerging low-carbon and inclusive markets, reducing the risk of obsolescence. Finally, stakeholder engagement is strengthened through SDG alignment. Using a globally recognized framework enables clearer communication with investors, regulators, communities, and civil society, building trust and reducing social and reputational risks. Collectively, SDGs provide a forward-looking risk lens that complements ESG frameworks and enhances corporate resilience. Slide 7. Case study: How early ESG-SDG adopters outperform. Early adopters of integrated ESG-SDG strategies, particularly in the consumer goods sector, have consistently outperformed peers in both market and non-market dimensions. Leading global consumer goods companies that aligned their ESG priorities with SDG targets such as responsible consumption, climate action, and decent work embedded sustainability into core brand, sourcing, and innovation strategies rather than treating it as a reporting exercise. These companies leveraged SDG alignment to redesign products, decarbonize supply chains, and strengthen relationships with farmers, suppliers, and communities. As a result, they benefited from stronger brand trust, faster growth in sustainable product lines, and reduced exposure to regulatory, resource, and reputational risks. Market performance insights show that firms with credible ESG-SDG integration often demonstrate higher revenue growth, lower cost of capital, and greater resilience during economic shocks. The case illustrates that early integration enables first-mover advantages, better anticipation of policy shifts, stronger consumer loyalty, and sustained long-term value creation driven by purpose-led strategy. Slide 8. Financial outperformance, the data speaks. The example, financial outperformance, the data speaks, illustrates how companies with strong environmental, social, and governance (ESG) alignment tend to outperform their peers financially over time. Indexed performance data shows that ESG-aligned companies can deliver higher returns compared with both broader market averages and non-aligned firms, highlighting a long-term performance advantage in shareholder value creation. Empirical studies support this trend. Research indicates that firms with robust ESG profiles have historically achieved superior risk-adjusted returns and lower volatility relative to non-ESG counterparts across regions such as the US, Europe, and India, suggesting better resilience and investment appeal. Moreover, analyses of ESG-screened indexes demonstrate that ESG-focused strategies often outperform broad benchmarks, particularly during market stress. While results vary by sector and region, the growing body of financial research underscores that sustainable business practices can align with strong financial performance over multiple market cycles. Slide 9. Step 1. Identify priority SDGs relevant to your business. Now let us discuss the strategic framework for integrating SDGs into ESG. Moving from conceptual understanding to practical implementation requires a structured, systematic approach. It provides a comprehensive framework that organizations can adapt to their unique contexts, ensuring that SDG integration enhances rather than complicates existing ESG initiatives. The framework emphasizes materiality, measurability, and meaningful stakeholder engagement as cornerstones of successful integration. Step 1 is the first foundational phase for any company seeking to integrate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, into its strategy and reporting. The process begins with principled prioritization, a rigorous approach that ensures businesses focus on goals where they have material impacts, both positive and negative, on people and the environment rather than simply the easy or most popular targets. This involves assessing the significant risks associated with the company's operations and value chain and identifying opportunities where its products, services, or investments can contribute meaningfully to the SDGs. Such prioritization helps avoid superficial SDG washing and aligns corporate actions with authentic sustainability needs. Implementation guidance emphasizes stakeholder engagement, contextual analysis, and due diligence. Companies should consult internal and external stakeholders to understand pressing concerns and align them with business strategy. Mapping operations to SDG targets facilitates transparent decision-making and highlights where change in business models or additional efforts are necessary to generate measurable positive impact. An SDG prioritization matrix is a practical tool used to visualize and compare the significance of impacts versus business and stakeholder relevance, helping to distinguish which SDGs warrant strategic focus. High-priority SDGs sit where business influence and stakeholder importance intersect, guiding resource allocation and objective setting in subsequent planning stages. Slide 10. Industry-specific SDG priorities. Industry-specific SDG priorities reflect how different sectors align their core activities with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, where they can have the greatest impact and business value. In financial services, institutions often prioritize goals linked to economic inclusion, decent work and growth, and sustainable finance. By mobilizing capital for sustainable projects and advancing financial inclusion, this sector naturally aligns with SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, SDG 10, reduced inequalities, and SDG 13, climate action, through green bonds and impact investing. The manufacturing sector typically focuses on SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, and SDG 13, climate action. These goals support sustainable production processes, resource efficiency, cleaner technologies, and reduced emissions across supply chains. In healthcare, SDG 3, good health and well-being, is central, as providers and life science companies improve access to care, medical innovations, and health equity globally. The technology sector drives SDG 9 through digital innovation and infrastructure and contributes to inclusive education and digital access. Tech solutions also support monitoring and reporting on SDG progress across industries. For agriculture and food, SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and SDG 12 are strategic priorities, promoting sustainable farming, food security, and reduced waste. In the energy sector, SDG 7, Affordable and Clean Energy, and SDG 13 are dominant, as companies transition to renewables, improve efficiency, and reduce carbon footprints. Across sectors, prioritizing relevant SDGs helps businesses align strategy with global challenges, unlock innovation, manage risks, and create shared value for society and shareholders. Slide 11. Step 2. Align ESG initiatives with selected SDGs. It transforms priority sustainable development goals into an actionable sustainability strategy by ensuring that existing and new ESG, environmental, social and governance, efforts clearly support SDG outcomes. The first sub-step is to audit current initiatives, catalog all internal ESG programs, policies, and practices across environmental, social, and governance dimensions to understand what the company already does and where it contributes to SDG-aligned outcomes. This inventory provides the baseline for alignment. Next, the organization should map initiatives to specific SDG targets. Each ESG effort is linked to corresponding SDG targets and indicators, making the contributions both visible and measurable, and revealing direct versus indirect impacts. Once mapping is complete, companies can identify gaps where priority SDGs lack supporting initiatives, pinpointing opportunities for new programs or enhancements. Finally, design interventions that close these gaps by developing targeted actions that simultaneously advance ESG performance and drive measurable progress toward SDG outcomes. This iterative alignment strengthens strategic coherence, accountability, and impact, enabling transparent sustainability reporting and better stakeholder trust. Slide 12. Practical alignment examples. The attached practical alignment examples illustrate how companies can tie everyday ESG actions to specific Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. For diversity and inclusion aligned with SDG 5, gender equality, organizations implement programs such as gender pay equity audits, diversity hiring targets, parental leave policies, and women's leadership development. These initiatives contribute to advancing gender equality by improving representation, reducing pay gaps, and empowering women economically. Measurement metrics might include the percentage of women in senior roles, gender pay gap figures, and other representation indicators. This aligns directly with SDG 5's aim of ending discrimination and promoting empowerment for all women and girls. In carbon reduction aligned with SDG 13, climate action, businesses focus on renewable energy procurement, energy efficiency improvements, and science-based emissions targets. By lowering greenhouse gas emissions and tracking progress through metrics like tons of carbon dioxide avoided and share of renewables in energy use, companies actively contribute to global climate mitigation. For ethical supply chain aligned with SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, practices include supplier audits, fair labor standards, and training for workers. Measurable outcomes include the number of audited suppliers, violations remediated, and workers reached through improvements, supporting decent work and inclusive economic growth. These examples demonstrate how targeted ESG programs can be mapped to global goals while generating measurable business and societal value. Slide 13, Multi-SDG Integration Strategy. It recognizes that well-designed ESG initiatives can contribute to multiple Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, simultaneously enhancing impact and efficiency. Integrated initiative design involves clearly defining the primary SDG program seeks to address while identifying secondary SDGs that benefit indirectly. This approach maximizes core benefits, such as social inclusion, environmental protection, and economic resilience, while managing potential trade-offs between goals. For example, employee well-being programs can advance SDG 3, good health, SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 8, decent work, through inclusive benefits and fair workplace practices. A sustainable supply chain program exemplifies multi-SDG integration in practice. Circular procurement and responsible sourcing primarily support SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, while supplier labor standards advance SDG 8, decent work. Climate-focused interventions, such as low-carbon logistics, further contribute to SDG 13, climate action. By strengthening supply chain resilience, businesses reduce operational risks while accelerating progress across multiple global goals. Slide 14, Step 3, Measure, Report, and Communicate progress. This is critical to ensuring the credibility, transparency, and effectiveness of ESG-SDG integration. Once initiatives are implemented, organizations must establish systems that track performance, demonstrate results, and clearly communicate progress to stakeholders. The process begins by defining key performance indicators, KPIs, aligned with SDG indicators. These KPIs should be measurable, comparable, and directly linked to priority SDG targets, enabling organizations to monitor outcomes rather than inputs. Aligning KPIs with global SDG indicators improves consistency and strengthens the credibility of sustainability claims. Next, organizations must implement robust data collection systems. This involves deploying digital tools, internal controls, and governance processes to capture reliable, timely, and auditable ESG data across operations and supply chains. High-quality data is essential for informed decision-making and continuous improvement. To enhance transparency, companies should adopt integrated reporting frameworks such as GRI, SASB, TCFD, and the UN Global Compact Communication on Progress. These frameworks provide structured guidance for disclosing ESG performance in a way that connects financial and non-financial value creation. Finally, organizations should engage stakeholders through data-driven narratives. Translating metrics into clear, compelling stories helps stakeholders understand real-world impacts, reinforces accountability, and builds trust with investors, regulators, communities, and employees. Effective communication ensures sustainability reporting drives action, not just compliance. Slide 15, the ESG-SDG measurement architecture. It provides a structured approach to assessing how corporate sustainability initiatives contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. It distinguishes clearly between various types of metrics, enabling organizations to move from activity-based reporting to impact-driven accountability. Input metrics capture the resources and commitments invested in sustainability initiatives. These include budgets allocated to ESG programs, employee training hours, partnerships established, technologies deployed, and governance structures adopted. Input metrics demonstrate organizational intent and effort, but on their own do not indicate effectiveness or impact. They are essential for understanding scale, prioritization, and strategic alignment with selected SDGs. Output metrics measure the immediate, tangible results of ESG actions. Examples include renewable energy capacity installed, emissions reduced, employees trained, suppliers audited, or waste recycled. Outputs reflect operational performance and program delivery, providing evidence that initiatives are being implemented as planned and producing measurable results aligned with SDG targets. Outcome metrics assess the longer-term, real-world changes resulting from ESG initiatives. These may include improved livelihoods, enhanced ecosystem resilience, reduced health risks, strengthened local economies, or increased climate resilience. Outcome metrics are the most critical yet challenging, as they demonstrate actual societal and environmental impact and directly link corporate action to SDG achievement. By integrating all three metric levels, organizations can present a credible, transparent, and comprehensive sustainability narrative, connecting investments to actions and actions to meaningful outcomes for people and the planet. Slide 16. Integrated Reporting Framework Alignment. Integrated reporting and sustainability disclosure have become central to how companies communicate value creation and performance beyond traditional financial reporting. A key development in the corporate reporting landscape is the collaborative alignment among major frameworks and standards, enabling organizations to disclose comprehensive and comparable sustainability and financial value information. The Global Reporting Initiative (GRI) standards are the most widely adopted sustainability reporting standards and focus on an organization's impacts on the economy, environment, and society. GRI promotes transparency and stakeholder-inclusive reporting, enabling organizations to discuss material sustainability issues and contribute to global goals like the SDGs. In contrast, the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board (SASB) provides industry-specific, investor-oriented standards that emphasize financially material environmental, social, and governance (ESG) factors. SASB was consolidated into the Value Reporting Foundation and now under the IFRS ISSB framework, helping align sustainability disclosure with investment decision usefulness. The Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures (TCFD) offers climate-focused guidance that complements both GRI and SASB. The Corporate Reporting Dialogues mapping showed strong alignment between major frameworks and TCFD recommendations, facilitating consistent climate-related financial risk and opportunity reporting across standards. The United Nations Global Compact Communication on Progress (COP) is an annual reporting commitment for UNGC participants, where companies disclose progress on the Compact's 10 principles and SDGs. The COP supports transparent reporting and increasingly aligns with major frameworks like GRI and integrated reports to enhance comparability. The International Integrated Reporting Council (IIRC) Integrated Reporting Framework links financial and sustainability information into a holistic narrative of value creation over time. The IIRC has worked with GRI, SASB, CDSB, and others to foster a shared vision for comprehensive corporate reporting, illustrating how different frameworks complement one another to inform strategic decision-making. In conclusion, these frameworks strengthen the global corporate reporting ecosystem, enabling organizations to align stakeholder-centric impact reporting with investor-focused financial disclosure and climate-related insights. Slide 17. Common barriers to integration. Overcoming challenges in ESG-SDG integration. Whilst the strategic benefits of ESG-SDG integration are compelling, implementation presents significant challenges that can derail even well-intentioned efforts. Understanding these obstacles and adopting proven solutions enables organizations to navigate the complexity successfully and avoid common pitfalls that undermine credibility and impact. Integrating Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) into corporate strategies and reporting frameworks remains a complex and resource-intensive process. One major barrier is the complexity of SDG targets themselves. With 17 goals and 169 interlinked targets, organizations, particularly small and medium enterprises, often struggle to identify which SDGs are most relevant to their operations and value chains. Limited internal sustainability expertise further complicates the prioritization of targets and alignment with business strategy. Data collection challenges present another significant obstacle. SDG integration requires diverse, high-quality, and often non-financial data that many organizations do not traditionally collect. Inconsistent data systems, limited supplier transparency, and weak monitoring mechanisms hinder the ability to measure outcomes and demonstrate progress credibly, increasing reporting costs and operational burden. The risk of SDG washing is a growing concern. Some organizations selectively reference SDGs for reputational benefits without embedding them into governance, strategy, or performance management. This superficial alignment, often driven by marketing objectives, undermines trust, dilutes the credibility of sustainability reporting, and may expose organizations to reputational and regulatory risks. Finally, fragmented standards and frameworks complicate integration efforts. The coexistence of multiple ESG and SDG related frameworks, such as GRI, SASB, TCFD, and UN Global Compact Corp, can lead to confusion, duplication, and inconsistent disclosures. While alignment initiatives are improving interoperability, many organizations still face challenges in navigating overlapping requirements and ensuring comparability across reports. Slide 18. Solutions and Best Practices. Successfully integrating sustainability and SDG-aligned frameworks into organizational strategy requires a deliberate combination of innovation, collaboration, and governance maturity. One of the most effective solutions is to leverage technology. Advanced data analytics, artificial intelligence, cloud-based ESG platforms, and blockchain solutions can automate data collection, enhance traceability, and improve accuracy across global operations. Technology enables real-time monitoring of sustainability performance and supports evidence-based decision-making, reducing reporting inefficiencies and compliance risks. Cross-functional integration is equally critical. Sustainability cannot remain siloed within CSR or compliance teams. Instead, finance, operations, procurement, risk management, and strategy functions must work collaboratively. Embedding ESG and SDG considerations into enterprise risk management, capital allocation, and performance incentives ensures that sustainability objectives are operationalized across the organization and aligned with long-term value creation. Engaging external expertise further strengthens integration efforts. Partnerships with sustainability consultants, academic institutions, industry associations, and non-governmental organizations provide access to specialized knowledge, benchmarking insights, and innovative practices. External assurance providers also enhance the credibility of sustainability disclosures and mitigate the risk of misreporting or SDG washing. Practicing radical transparency is a growing best practice. Organizations are increasingly disclosing not only successes but also challenges, trade-offs, and areas of underperformance. Transparent reporting builds stakeholder trust, supports regulatory preparedness, and demonstrates a genuine commitment to continuous improvement rather than symbolic compliance. Finally, continuous learning underpins long-term sustainability integration. As ESG standards, regulations, and stakeholder expectations evolve, organizations must invest in capacity building, employee training, and leadership development. Regularly updating policies, adopting emerging best practices, and learning from peer experiences enable organizations to remain adaptive, resilient, and future-ready. Slide 19. Real-world example, a multinational tech company's journey. A leading multinational technology company illustrates how sustainability integration can be driven through leveraging technology and a clearly defined strategic approach. Beginning in the early 2020s, the company aligned its corporate strategy with priority sustainable development goals, particularly SDG 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, and SDG 13, Climate Action, identifying them as most material to its operations and stakeholder expectations. By leveraging advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and data analytics, the company optimized energy efficiency across data centers, enhanced supply chain transparency, and enabled real-time monitoring of emissions. Technology also supported circular economy initiatives, including product redesign, extended product life cycles, and large-scale recycling programs. Its strategic approach focused on embedding sustainability into core business decisions rather than treating it as a peripheral initiative. Dedicated innovation labs were established to develop low-carbon solutions, while long-term commitments were made toward renewable energy procurement and science-based emission reduction targets. Strategic partnerships with universities, startups, and clean technology providers further accelerated innovation and impact. This journey demonstrates how technology-driven solutions, combined with integrated strategy and governance, can translate sustainability commitments into measurable, long-term value creation. Slide 20. Lessons learned from integration pioneers. Early adopters of integrated sustainability and ESG reporting offer valuable insights for organizations seeking to align business strategy with the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. A consistent lesson is to start with materiality, not marketing. Integration pioneers emphasize identifying the ESG and SDG issues that are most material to the organization's value creation, risk exposure, and stakeholder expectations. A rigorous materiality assessment ensures that sustainability efforts are focused, credible, and strategically relevant, rather than symbolic or reputational. Another critical lesson is to embed SDG targets into financial planning and performance management systems. Leading organizations translate selected SDG targets into measurable key performance indicators, KPIs, link them to capital allocation, and integrate them into executive incentives. This approach moves sustainability from a parallel reporting exercise to a core business driver, reinforcing accountability and long-term decision-making. However, pioneers also highlight prevailing data challenges as a major constraint. Integrating SDGs requires high-quality, comparable, and decision-useful data across operations and value chains, data that many organizations historically did not track. Fragmented IT systems, inconsistent methodologies, and limited supplier data often hinder accurate measurement and reporting. Successful organizations respond by investing in digital ESG platforms, strengthening internal controls, and continuously improving data governance frameworks. Overall, the experience of integration pioneers shows that credible SDG and ESG integration is a journey, grounded in materiality, operationalized through financial and performance systems, and strengthened over time by addressing data limitations with transparency and innovation. As we draw this session to a close, we reflect on a critical insight that has emerged with clarity. The integration of actionable sustainable development goals into corporate environmental, social, and governance frameworks marks a decisive evolution in contemporary sustainability strategy. While ESG frameworks offer a disciplined approach to risk management, regulatory compliance, and investor accountability, ESG in isolation is insufficient to address the scale, complexity, and systemic nature of today's global challenges. Looking ahead, part 2 of this series will advance the dialogue by examining how SDGs can be meaningfully embedded within corporate entities through diverse ESG business frameworks. This next session will explore the foundational principles that shape global sustainability practice and demonstrate how organizations can translate ambition into measurable impact across their business models and value chains. We encourage you to remain actively engaged with our platform, participate in upcoming sessions, and share these insights with peers who are equally committed to advancing sustainable development and responsible enterprise. We wish you continued success, enduring inspiration, and steadfast resilience as you contribute to building a sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future.